Hey guys, it's Samantha and welcome back to my channel. I have my spooky October TBR. So the reason I say spooky is about 75% of what I'm reading this month is going to be in the thriller, darker genre. I say darker because one of the books isn't a thriller, but it's darker. And I have a couple romances mixed in there as well, and a book of poetry, just because for me, if I'm constantly only reading thrillers, I'm going to get super annoyed and not want to keep reading them if that's all I'm reading. So just give myself a little bit of a mix. I know I haven't posted in a while. Things have been busy, but I have been waiting to record this for you guys, and my September wrap-up is in the works as well. I am off next week. We were supposed to go to Disney, but because of COVID, we're not. So I'm hoping to catch up on some reading time and maybe try to make some videos, especially some author spotlights, since I did one of those and I thought they were kind of interesting. But I have a total of 15 or 16 books, which is about average for me. I got the last month in September, I think I read 14 or 15, and I usually average between 14 and 20. So, hoping to get through all of these. Most of them are pretty small, and I am definitely in the mood for some thrillers, so I feel like that's going to help my reading more as well. So I'm just going to show you the books and talk about them briefly, the ones I plan to read for the month. They are in no particular order. I'm just going to kind of pick them as I go. I did start with one of them already, and I will show you that last, but without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. So the first book I want to talk about is The Death of Miss Westaway by Ruth Ware. I don't know anything about this book. There's not much of a description on the back besides author blurbs talking about how good the book is. And usually I like to know a little bit about a thriller when I go into it, but a lot of people say it's better to go in blind. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this one. I do like Ruth Ware. I loved her book In a Dark, Dark Wood. That was the first one I read by her. And then I read One by One, her newest release, and it was okay. But I've heard really good things about this particular book, so I am excited to jump into this. Her books are always very chilling and always fast reads because she sucks you right in. The next book I have on my list is Final Girls by Riley Sager. I have read all of his other books. I loved Home Before Dark, which was his newest release. I didn't particularly like Lock Every Door, and Last Time I Lied was okay. So I've heard a lot of good things about this one. I believe this is his debut, and from my understanding, it follows this girl, Quincy, who goes on vacation with a group of her friends, and when she returns, she's the only one who returns. So she becomes part of this group that no one wants to be part of in her town called Final Girls, and the other girls that are part of it, one was a girl who lost 9 of her sorority sisters, and another one fought for her life against the Sack Man. So that is Sam, and her friend is Lisa. So Quincy is ready to move on. She has a almost fiance. She's in therapy, but she will not revisit the past. She just wants to move on from that nightmare. But when Lisa ends up dead, Sam shows up on Quincy's doorstep and wants her to help her figure out what happened with Lisa, I believe. So Quincy is forced to relive what happened on that trip with her and her friends. This is pretty small too. His writing is very good. I've heard great things about this book. A lot of people have said this is their favorite by him besides Home Before Dark. So I'm excited for this. And that is Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. This is the third book in the GeekCon convention series. I don't know what the series is called, but she has 2 other books out, Princess and the Fangirl and Geekarella. And this is the third one. It's not a series, it's more of companion novels. So this book follows Vince, I believe, Vance, who was the director of this show called Starfield that there's a convention for every year. And it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So her books are retelling of fairy tales. Geekarella was of Cinderella, of course, and The Princess and the Fangirl was off The Prince and the Pauper. They were both excellent. I read The Princess and the Fangirl first, which was the second book, and I was it didn't ruin a lot for me, but it ruined some things, so I definitely encourage you to read them in order. I've heard good things about this book. It's been out for a while, and it's been sitting on my TBR, but it's small, and I want to get into it. Swimming Lessons by Lily Reinhart. If you don't know, I'm a fan of Riverdale. Well, not so much as I used to be because I feel like last season was terrible, but that's beside the point. So Lily came out with a poetry collection talking about heartbreak and mental health, and I'm really excited to read this. It sounds like it's going to be really powerful, and it's poetry, so it's a quick read. I think I've put it in a couple of my TBR videos, but I need to get to it, and I feel like this would be a good month to get to it, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I got this in July from a book exchange, and from my understanding, it's a very dark, hard-hitting book. It follows our main character who was sexually harassed by her professor and her high school teacher, and she never realized it because it was her first relationship and the first time she ever felt like she was in love. But all these other girls start coming forward about things that he did to her, and it kind of opens her eyes to the abuse that she suffered all those years. I'm nervous because I've heard it is very dark, My Dark Vanessa, so I'm a little nervous, but I need to jump into it. It's a book that I borrowed from my best friend, and that is How It All Blew Up by Arvin Ahmadi. And this follows our main character, Amir, who is a Muslim American, and he's going through a lot. He's dealing with a lot of stuff. One of them is being blackmailed. So he decides he's going to flee to Rome just to get away for a little bit and get a fresh start. But as he's going to Rome, he gets stopped at the airport and brought into the customs office, and he gets put into an interrogation based on his ethnicity. And he has to kind of come forward about everything that's going on and why he's going to Rome, and he has to tell all of the truth or risk being in trouble, basically. I've heard this is very good and a fast read. Next book I have is a graphic novel, and that is Heartstopper Volume 2. I finally read Heartstopper Volume 3, and I loved the story between Nick and Charlie, so I'm very excited to read this. It was super cute. This is definitely a little bit bigger than the first one, but I'm happy about that because I just needed more cuteness. The next one I have is another romance. It's a small book, which is another reason why it's on my TBR, and that is The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, which is the second book in the Off-Campus series. Again, the Off-Campus series is not a series, but more of companion novels, and it follows different players from the hockey team. So the first book followed Garrett. I don't remember the girl's name because I read the first book so long ago, but this is following their teammate, John Logan, who they call Logan, and this new girl, Grace, who is a sophomore, and they end up getting together somehow, even though John took her virginity, so he wants her back. So she's like, I don't know if I'm going to do this or not, but sounds like it's going to be good. The next book is The Twin by Natasha Preston. I've read a couple books by her, and they're very addicting. This follows our main characters, Iris and Ivy, who are twins. Their parents are divorced, and each parent gets one of the kids, so they haven't grown up together until their mother passes away. So Iris has to move in with Ivy and her dad, and she kind of has a hard time. She stays in her room. She doesn't really want to talk to anyone, but Ivy made her a promise that she was going to share her life with her, and she takes it to the next level. But then as she starts spending more time with her twin sister, Iris, she starts to realize something doesn't seem right and is starting to question if Iris is out to get her. So I'm excited. Her books are always very twisted. It is a new release in the thriller genre. I've never read anything by this author, but this book sounds really good, and also it's short. And that is Confessions on the 745 by Lisa Unger. It follows our main character, Selena, who takes the 745 train to work every morning. And one morning she's sitting on the train and they get stalled, and she's sitting next to this woman named Martha. So her and Martha decide that they're strangers, so they're just going to tell each other their secrets. And Martha tells Selena that her husband is having an affair, or she's having an affair on her husband, and Selena tells Martha that she suspects her husband is sleeping with their nanny. So then 9 days after this train conversation, Selena's nanny goes missing, and she's starting to wonder if Martha had anything to do with that, and if she is who she says she is. So super pumped for that. It's giving me Girl on the Train vibes, which by Paula Hopkins, which was that is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in the Mortal Instruments series. I have been loving the first two books, and I'm loving the series and these characters. I've been taking the books one book at a time because they're hefty. Next one is another thriller, and that is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This follows a wedding party and a wedding on this island, and someone gets killed, and you have to figure out who the murderer is. That's all I know about it. I've heard very, very good things about this book, so we will see. The Key. I've had this in a couple of TBRs for a while. This book follows a nanny who was nannying for this rich family, and then the children end up dead. And this is told from her point of view as she's writing letters to her lawyer from prison because she is accused of the murder, even though she's saying she did not commit it, and that she does have some secrets, but she didn't murder these girls. So Again, I've heard good things about this one. A lot of people have said this is the best book by Ruth Ware, so we will see. This is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And this book follows Noemi, who has a cousin, a newlywed cousin in Mexico. She goes to see her and help her out. And when she's down there, she's very intimidated with her cousin's husband, who's very menacing and kind of standoffish. And she starts having dreams while she's staying with them about just doom and blood and all these scary dreams about this house. So she is trying to figure out what's going on, and she makes an ally in her cousin's son and tries to figure out what's going on. That's what I got from the synopsis that I read real quick. I could be totally off on that, but that's just what I understood from it. I'm hoping that it's not as confusing as I just made it seem. I've heard good things about this, but I've also heard that it's slow, so I might end up starting this with another one because I've been reading NetGalley on my Kindle, so I don't have a copy, and that is Hello Beautiful by Amy Mallory. I literally don't know what it's about, and I just started reading it, but I've heard great things. It was a giveaway at BookCon, and I put in for it. So all the ones I put in for at BookCon, I put in for NetGalleys as well, just in case. And it worked out well because I didn't win it from BookCon, but I did win it. Not win it, but I got access to it on NetGalley. So I am starting that now because it comes out October 13th. And I tried to get the books read and reviewed before they come out. That's beside the point. The last book that I'm gonna read that I'm currently reading is our book club pick for our book club Books Are Better Than People, and that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This follows our main character, Piper, known as Pipe, and she has this senior project, which is a capstone, and you basically choose what you're going to do your research project on, and she wants to look into the murder of Andy Bell in our hometown, which took place 5 years ago, and her boyfriend, Andy's boyfriend, Sal, was accused of murdering Andy and ended up committing suicide. But Pip knew Sal and thought he was always such a nice guy, so she doesn't believe that's what really happened. So this project where she's just going to explore like criminal investigations and how it works, she ends up diving deep into this murder and trying to solve it to find out what actually happened. And it goes back and forth between like her interviewing and her taking notes on it and her notes to her point of not her point of view, but like it's third person, I believe, is how it's described. So it goes back and forth between those, and it's been really good so far. I'm very interested in it, and it just kind of sucks you right in. So this is the book that I'm starting off with. I figured this would be a good way to start off spooky month, so we will see. So after all that chaos, this is my spooky October TBR. I'm hoping to get through the majority of these. Like I said, most of them are thrillers, but I wanted a little bit of a mix. So we'll have to see in my October wrap-up if I did get through all of these. If you guys have read any of these books, I know a lot of them are Book of the Month picks, and that's very popular amongst BookTube. Let me know down below your thoughts on it, and we will see how it goes. Thanks for watching.